And it's just like power. Or not even power. It's just like being a leader, right? You cannot understand what it is to be a leader if you don't, if you've never exercised any position or never take to well any responsibility that forced you to sort of like motivate, empower, people, and sometimes also set people straight. And it's like when you're trying to set the record straight about your story, what it is there that you say, your sensitivity, or it might be a topic that you like. For example, what we're talking about now, they can just take. I mean, not necessarily because we're not saying anything bad, but let's say somebody doesn't just like you because I don't like you. Okay, what have I done to you? I just don't fucking like you. Okay,
But you're doing it here first.
and it's like they're cutting past and say, look,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
said
yeah.
this,
Look
he
what he
said
said.
that. He said,
And you know, because you just put the headlines, people will might not even play the snippet.
and
They will
it's
just
like a
they will just look at the headlines. X defends R. Kelly, and then you have a bunch of strangers who come and they start going crazy on you. And
yeah, you never know, never probably even heard R. Kelly's music, and they're like, yeah, whatever. They're not even from culture itself. And I think a lot of people that
yeah, mm-hmm,
do this shit
yeah,
is just like, yeah, man. I don't know what you guys are trying to prove. Maybe some ego, God, ego trip, or whatever it might be. But it's just like, I mean, obviously, a lot. I mean, of course, not to say that everything is not tangible, not like great causes. Like there are indeed things that needs to be addressed and people that need to be handled one way or the other. But to
him
cancel
for the
everything
case.
is like, I mean, that's like when they try to like you were just talking about Hitler and any horrible things that has happened that has been done is going to be studied one way or the other. Some people will want to understand. Some people will actually go and read
Yeah,
certain things that you don't want them to read.
yeah,
And so, what is this? Are we getting back to the whole the old era of like only being allowed to read certain type of magazines from certain sources or consume certain type of information from certain sources, and if you go outside of that lane, then you know what, you are a deviant and
dangerous.
you need to be handled and put back into line. This is the way we're going in.
You
That's it.
remember, like, it's the same as, I mean, um, it's an egregious example, but it's the same as going to some countries and destroying libraries or destroying every art. You remember when everybody was saying that in during the, I think in Afghanistan, they just destroyed, the Taliban destroyed a bunch of statues and artifacts from the history of a country because, and it's crazy to me how people don't see that it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just like deciding that this was not part of history. And listen, like, you might you might feel a way about everything that is just, but it's not a justification of removing history from the platforms. And this is why, to me, there's they have this is sparkling, this is creating a conversation that is needed about the platforms. What are you putting in your neck?
Avec Confo, je me sens toujours beaucoup mieux.
Oh là 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 là. Où est mon confort?
Ah ouais, Confo, là, ça va m'aider parce que là, je sens que le changement de température, là, tout de
Yeah,
suite, là,
yeah,
le,
I mean,
le faux de cold here is like, hey, and it's
yeah,
very
me too.
vicious. It hit me in
Yeah,
the
it is.
bones
Yeah,
for some
it
reason.
is. Me too. It fucks me up just like that.
No, but man, and on top of that, I am tired, so
Yeah, it's no.
I feel like we have a topic here that's just not an easy one, and I think that it requires again to really be like, yo, man,
Emotional less.
you know what? But this is the thing, though. People are not emotionally strong enough to accept a counter proposal to their vision. and
Yeah.
it's okay, and it's okay if you don't have a comeback for it, because I mean that's like trying to, it's like trying to find common ground with somebody who hates you or hates your kind. It's okay. Like, just let them be. Like, what are you gonna do? Kill them? What difference is it gonna make? You're gonna reinforce more of their people. So it's like, just, yeah, it's cool. Y'all be you and we be us, and what are we gonna do?
It's very interesting how the people who are for
Mm.
censorship and for the idea of a single way of thinking and acceptance of everything that they deem acceptable are the progressists. It's like for them the idea of progress is you accept everybody, you accept everything, you accept every idea that even you don't understand. And if you say, I would love to understand, they're starting to insult you, they're starting to, and if you say, okay, but I don't disagree with this, like, I don't know, listen, there was this conversation about that 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 trans woman who was not operated, so he still was a genetically with masculine genitalia, right? You have to choose your words.
Yeah, he
And
has
he
to.
went to a place where it was just women and just women with their kids swinging your dick.
Maybe doesn't feel it well.
And
It was
but
probably
the
not swinging his dick, but as he walked, his dick was swinging. So he didn't purposely.
and
It's not his
and
fault or her fault, or.
so some people will say we don't care. Some others will say I didn't go in a place where it's just between us who have
The same
vaginas, I guess,
genitalia, yeah.
to with our kids to see this.
Yeah.
If you completed your transition and you came here and we all naked, we don't mind. But like this, some people will be like, my kid was not ready for this. And when those people say that, they have a pushback of a bunch of people saying, this is the reason why we're getting killed in the street. So how do we have a conversation where you guys, and it's not about not that group, but where everybody, the black people, the feminists, the black feminists, the gays, the this, the Jews, the Congolese, like where everybody refuses to engage in intelligent conversation, not emotional. And when we have other people who, because don't think it doesn't exist, when you have a lot of people in these groups who are not representatives of those groups, but they use the drama to get clout, because a lot of people, they want to exist, so they know, like there's this person who purposely goes to the women's toilet when there's women in there, etc., and they do it on purpose so that somebody gets angry, so that they can put out their camera and they can get views. This exists as well. And as a group, you have to be able to hold your own accountable too, and be able to be like, nah, we're not gonna get outraged on that. Because then what if not, what happens? You have Jesse Smollett, you have this type of people who he keeps saying he didn't lie. We all know he did. I mean, I believe he did, but hey, listen, he knows. Deep down, he knows if he did or not. But saying that he's been beaten up by Trump supporters, and those guys ended up being two Nigerian guys. And at 2 a.m., minus 20 degrees in Chicago, like, yo. But look at how everybody went crazy. That the director of Empire was crying on Instagram. Well, Ray, you like my son? And then after 2-3 days, everybody like, wait a minute. and this is the problem of the powerful social media impact and tsunami of emotions. When you do something for emotions and that everybody respond to this emotion, sometimes you will realize, oh shit, he was lying. It happens as well. And if we don't create a culture and platforms where there's safeguards, where a platform like YouTube, we gave you the power to decide what plays or doesn't play. You cannot abuse that power. And Twitter, all these platforms, you have to be able to say, I don't believe in what you say. You have to be able to say that and not have people saying, oh, you are victim shaming. Listen, you have the right to be able to have doubts. And then if you are proven wrong and it's proven that, like there was no doubt to have, you have to be able to say, evidence shows me that I was wrong. Sorry for doubting you. I'm with you now. But we are in a world where people refuse you the possibility to grow now. Because if you said something 20 years ago, when you were young and dumb, let's say you were 18, and you run for mayor at 45, they will go there and find, he said that, you see, he's anti-X. Come on, let's go.
But then, we're talking about, cases where it's kind of ridiculous, but then real cases where, for example, if somebody has a pastor being like a pedophile or some fucked up shit like that, like
the church, French church.
Exactement.
The French church, 300,000 kids molested in the last 70 years. Nobody said shit. And you know what the chief, I don't know how you say, I'm sorry, I don't know the ranks, but the
cardinal or something like cardinal, I think. Yeah.
The French, he said the confession is something that
it's secret.
Is over French law. Isn't that what you've been complaining about the Muslim and Sharia the whole time this last 20 years? But when it's for the church, it's fine, and you let him say that?
Of course, because the church is born. Of course, the church.
Yeah.